I still remember the sound the plastic made as it peeled off the roll, that dry crackle, that choking kind of sound. I thought she was wrapping up garbage. It didn't occur to me she meant me, not until I felt her grab my wrists. It was a Saturday afternoon, cold, wet, and bitter like it always was around that time of year in Ohio. I was in the kitchen washing dishes because no one else ever did. I had just finished scrubbing the last plate when I heard her voice from behind. "You think doing the dishes makes you human?" she hissed. I didn't answer. I knew better. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. That's when I turned and saw her holding a black trash bag in one hand and a roll of duct tape in the other. "Lift your arms." "What?" "Lift your arms." I did, because saying no didn't end well in our house. I learned that a long time ago, from the first time I said I didn't want to wear the shoes my sister outgrew that had mold around the toes. From the time I asked why I got a single sock for Christmas while my sister got a MacBook. Saying no meant pain. She slid the bag over me like it was a coat, cutting holes from my arms and head with kitchen scissors. I stood there still wet from the dishwasher and let her do it. "Don't move," she snapped when I shifted. "You're fidgeting like a rat." I held still. Then she started wrapping the duct tape around my waist. Tight. Too tight. My lungs felt like they were fighting for space. I felt my breath catch. My sister Kayla walked in then, holding a bag of Cheetos and a phone she never let go of. She looked at me, snorted, and said, "Ew, you actually look better in black." Mom laughed, finally dressing her up like what she is. They didn't tell me what was happening. They didn't need to. I knew. I knew from the way Mom grabbed my arm and yanked me through the hallway. I knew from the way Kayla opened the front door, like she was presenting something for the world to see. We lived in a duplex with a shared alley behind it. Old brick walls, overflowing dumpsters. I had to walk past them every day to get to school. They always smelled like sour milk and beer cans. Today they were going to be my bed. "You said you wanted to leave," Mom said as she dragged me toward the alley. "So leave. Go live with your people." "What people?" I asked, voice shaking. She didn't answer. She opened the lid. A swarm of flies rose out. I saw a half-eaten pizza, a dead raccoon someone had tossed in there, a baby's diaper. Then she shoved me. I didn't fall in cleanly. My leg hit the edge. My shoulder scraped the rusted rim. I heard something snap in my wrist. I landed on something sharp glass. "Maybe," I cried out. "Shut up," she said over the clang of the lid. "Garbage doesn't speak." I heard Kayla laugh behind her. "Let's return her where she belongs," Mom said, turning away like nothing had happened. They left me there. I don't know how long I stayed. My hands were shaking too much to check my phone. The tape around my stomach made it hard to breathe. Every time I shifted, the plastic crinkled and drew bugs closer. One crawled into my sock and bit me. I cried, but quietly. Eventually, I heard a voice. "Hello? Is someone in there?" I thought I imagined it. I was dizzy, nauseous. The lid creaked open. A man in a maintenance uniform leaned over the edge. He looked horrified. Jesus Christ, what the hell? He helped me out gently like I mattered, like I wasn't a bag of trash. He took me to the front office of the nearby apartment complex. I didn't tell him much, just that my mom got angry. He offered to call the police. I begged him not to. I didn't want to go to foster care. I didn't want Kayla to tell everyone at school that I was some abandoned freak. I didn't want to sit in another courtroom while Mom played sweet in front of the judge and told them I had episodes. I went home the next day, walked in through the back door like a ghost. Nobody noticed. They were watching television, laughing at something on the screen. The garbage bag was still in the alley, torn open. The tape stained with something brown. I looked at it for a long time. That was the moment I changed. That was the last time I let them choose what I was worth. I didn't speak to anyone that day. Not Mom, not Kayla, not even to myself. I just walked past them like I was air, like they'd trained me to be. Something invisible, something weightless. I went straight to my room, peeled off the stained clothes I'd worn in the dumpster, and threw them in a trash bag of my own. I tied it tight, shoved it deep under my bed, and stared at the ceiling for hours. My skin still smelled like rot. My wrist was still throbbing, but the worst pain wasn't outside. It was inside, like something had split wide open in me, something that used to hope. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat by the window, staring at the alley, at the bag, at the spot where they left me. The next morning, Kayla knocked on my door once before barging in. Mom says, "Get dressed. Family photo day. She wants us looking normal for once." I blinked at her. "You mean the same mom who threw me in a dumpster yesterday?" She rolled her eyes. "God, you're so dramatic. You're lucky she even let you come back. Honestly, you're like a charity case." I didn't say anything, just stared. For the first time, I think she realized I wasn't all there anymore. Not the version of me she was used to breaking. Went to the photo shoot. I wore the nice dress they always made me wear, the one Kayla outgrew. They posed me on the end, like a forgotten extra. The photographer tried to get me to smile. I didn't. That picture still hangs in the living room, a perfect lie. After that, I started writing everything down, every insult, every time Mom called me it, or that mistake, every time Kayla tripped me and blamed the rug, every time I was told to eat the scraps from their dinner plates, because only earners eat real food. I filled up 2 full notebooks in secret. At school, no one knew. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want pity. I wanted something worse. I wanted silence until the day it broke everything. I found my chance in the most unexpected place, a local youth program for at-risk teens. I joined it behind their backs, told them I was volunteering at the library. The program director, Miss Franklin, saw my bruised wrist and asked gently, "Is everything okay at home?" I lied. But I also started staying longer. She taught us things. How to rebuild a resume, how to get small scholarships, how to document abuse without setting off alarms. She said, "We help kids escape without running away." One night, I stayed late and helped Miss Franklin organize old supplies. We found a box of cameras, the kind used for short documentaries. She handed me one and said, "Take it, tell your story. Even if no one sees it, you will." So, I started filming quietly, secretly. Not to upload, not to share, just to see, to remember. I set up the camera in my room, pointed at the doorway. I recorded every time Kayla stormed in and screamed at me for breathing too loud. I recorded Mom slapping the fork out of my hand because she didn't like how I held it. I recorded the trash talk, the bruises, the little humiliations that no one believed when I said them out loud. And then I recorded the final moment that changed everything. It was a Tuesday night. Mom came home drunk from book club, which was just her drinking wine coolers with her cousin in a parked car down the road. She stumbled in, saw me reading on the couch, and snapped. "Why the hell are you out here? Who said you could be seen?" I said nothing. She yanked me up by my arm. Kayla stood behind her, phone out, already filming for a laugh. "She thinks she's someone," Mom muttered. "She thinks she belongs here. Let's fix that." She grabbed the trash bag again. Same brand, same sound. I ran straight out the front door, across the yard into the neighbor's house. I didn't stop, because this time, I wasn't just running away. I was running with proof. The neighbors were stunned. Mrs. Redmond, the elderly woman who always gave out homemade apple slices at Halloween, stood frozen with her television remote still in hand. Her husband, Mr. Redmond, stared at the trash bag still partly taped around my waist and asked quietly, "What did she do to you?" I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The bruises, the red rings around my arms from the duct tape, the dried blood near my wrist, it told enough. I slept on their couch that night. In the morning, I got up early and walked to the youth center before it opened. I waited by the door until Miss Franklin arrived. When she saw me, she dropped her keys. "Oh my God, honey." I pulled the camera out of my backpack and handed it to her. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. She watched 3 videos right there in the parking lot. No music, no commentary, just the raw footage of how I lived. Her face went pale. By noon, I had a lawyer. Not a cop, not a caseworker. A real lawyer. Someone, Miss Franklin called, personally. Someone who didn't work for the state. Someone who listened. And for once, it wasn't about saving them. It was about saving me. They told me I didn't have to go back. Not ever. They told me there were safe places, private places, that I could finish school, apply for college, and even press charges if I wanted. But I didn't want jail. I wanted worse. I wanted them to feel what they made me feel like, trash, like something that didn't belong. So, I said I wanted one thing before I left. Just one thing. I wanted to go home. The lawyer and Miss Franklin exchanged glances. They knew what I meant. They knew I didn't mean home. I meant the house where they pretended I was part of the family. The set where they played parent and child while I was kept out of the frame. They agreed with supervision, of course. One visit with cameras rolling quietly, carefully. Not to make a scene, but to end one. So, we went. Kayla opened the door, still in pajamas, scrolling through her phone like she hadn't almost filmed me getting dumped in a trash can again the night before. Mom sat at the kitchen table with a cigarette and a mug that said, "Best mom ever." They didn't know I was coming. The moment they saw me, Mom narrowed her eyes. "Who said you could?" Then she noticed the woman next to me. Then the man with the briefcase. Then the little red light on the camera. That was the first time I ever saw her afraid. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked to the living room, picked up the family photo hanging crooked on the wall, the one where I stood on the edge like a misprint, and dropped it face down on the floor. "You always said I didn't belong," I said calmly. "So, I'm giving you what you want." I looked at Kayla. "You laughed when they taped me in plastic. You laughed when they called me garbage." She shifted. "It was a joke." "No, this is the joke." I handed the lawyer a document. It was something we'd worked on for a week, a formal petition drawn up with testimony and footage. Not for custody, not for charges, for inheritance severance, for legal name removal, for social and public disassociation from my biological family. It wasn't just about cutting ties. It was about erasing them. They would no longer be able to claim me as a dependent. No benefits, no name connection. No, we tried our best soba stories. Not even in death would they be allowed to claim me. I wouldn't attend their funerals. I wouldn't acknowledge their blood. Mom went pale. Kayla stood frozen. No tears, no anger, just shock. Because for once they realized the thing they'd thrown away had never been theirs to begin with. I turned back once just to make sure they understood. "You said I came from trash," I said. "But trash can be recycled, rebuilt. You, on the other hand, you rot." Then I walked out. Now I live in a small apartment above a flower shop. I work afternoons and study at night. Miss Franklin still checks in. I see the Redmonds sometimes. They treat me like a granddaughter. They say I brought light into a dark alley. But the best moment, one day, while walking past my old street, I saw Kayla standing alone on the porch. Her clothes were stained. Her eyes looked empty. She had dropped out. Mom was gone, moved in with some man who didn't want kids around. They were crumbling without an audience. I didn't wave. I didn't speak. I just walked by headphones in, shoulders up like she didn't exist. Because now I decide what gets thrown away and what doesn't. And I've never felt lighter.